Hey guys, I'm going to come on today and just talk a little bit about another story I did before, but I didn't really touch on everything. So I'm going to attempt to do this with my dogs here. I don't know how long that'll last, but they like to be active, and she likes to bark at imaginary things like, anything. So they might have to go in their little playroom, but we're going to try it. So I was just going to talk about this story. I've said it before, I've told it before, and it seems to get like a lot of curiosity about how I dated somebody who had actually killed someone before, and I didn't know, and I was never told. So she's gonna guard dog it the whole time. So it really comes down to knowing who you're with and not settling, because if you have a bad feeling about somebody, it's already bad. Like you know yourself, you know in your gut what it tells you to your own intuition. So the story is, how this started out was I was actually on a date with another guy, and there was the person I am talking about was sitting over in the corner of the room, very noticeable, sulking. You would think that they were possibly drunk and sad. And it became more noticeable because he was just staring like a hole in my head. He was really noticeable and not trying to hide it, and pretty rude. And it wasn't a great date. I wasn't really clicking with this person, and I kind of knew that would be the last one. So the guy who I'm talking about, the guy who I dated, came out of the corner, and he left, and he came over and slammed his number down and made a derogatory comment about the guy I was on the date with. And that's how things started out. I don't know. I was very young. I don't know why that would have ever been acceptable to me. It's not. She doesn't like it either. Yeah, so fast forward a little bit. He leaves and I leave. And so later I had a friend, and we went back to the same place. And what do you know? Mr. Personality is there. And he was more polite this time. And he was actually, the total opposite. So I didn't look at him in that way at all, like somebody I would ever date. So, but we did become friends and talk a little bit, not friends, but just speak to each other. And as time went on, he had someone in his family pass away. And he, I kind of, gave him a shoulder to cry on, and I feel like he kind of used that because I am a person who cares if people are hurting. And so he asked me to go with him to this person's funeral, and it was, we had to fly there. I was very apprehensive about it, but I did it. It was somewhere I'd never been before, and I was like, if nothing else, I will, get to see a new place. And, I I've had loved ones die, and I wanted to be there, for someone if I could. I had no idea the kind of person he was, other than that first night. I hadn't seen any, red flags or any behavior that I thought was, you know, alarming. So, I meet his family, and his family, even though they don't look like people who would ever you would think this stuff about, it turned out his dad had quite a history, and that was kept from me. And I didn't really like that because I was in this person's home. I wanted to go get a hotel. I didn't really want to stay there anymore. But so we come back, and things had kind of progressed on that trip, and we kind of started seeing each other. And to me, it was just very casual. I was not, I was just kind of dating, passing time, I guess. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know why. But so, so we started like that, and very nice in the beginning, very nice. He came from a nice background, as far as his other side of the family. They had homes everywhere, and appeared to be quite nice and normal. And we would go over for dinners and events, and everything looked normal. So as time goes on, he, to make a long story short, turns into like a totally crazy person. Really weird things, and he just, all this stuff came rolling out about him, all these new things. And it wasn't somebody who I even could imagine being in a relationship with. There are so many ways that we wouldn't click at all. And, he had a very dark depression. I've never been around anyone who seemed to just disappear into their own thoughts so much. And he really carried that with him. And when I was around him, I felt that, and it was not pleasant at all. So so it comes out that, and I don't even remember how I found this out. I think that someone else looked it up and told me, and I confronted him, and he admitted it because he had to, that he had been drunk, and was drunk driving, and had a wreck with passengers in the car, and he killed the person in the car with his drunk driving. And I think it was homicide, vehicular homicide, something like that. But it was homicide, and he went to prison for that, and I never knew that either. I was just places that I shouldn't have been. I was way too open, and not using discretion with who I talked to. I kind of had a thing of where I wanted to, fix somebody. I wanted to, that old thing of wanting to, help, and really all you're doing is hurting yourself. And I definitely suffered as a consequence of knowing him. It did not do anything good for my life, and it made me look really bad too. So, I just, it's really important to know who you're with, trust who you're with. And, the Bible says bad company corrupts good character. You might think that you're being kind and loving and non-judgmental, but sometimes, like, you have to judge, and the thing about it is that people can make these mistakes and be truly sorry, and that's a whole different thing. But this person was not even done drinking. They just kept drinking, and they would drive if they had to, even though they weren't allowed to drive. They could have gotten in a lot of trouble for driving, So there was no remorse. It seemed like there was remorse. I could tell. There was a sadness there about it, but there was no change, And if you're truly sorry, then you will change your behavior. That's the best way to fix it. Not that it can ever be fixed, but you know what I mean. And to the family of that person, it'll never be fixed. It's forever. And also, if somebody can keep something like that from you, that's huge. That's something to not be overlooked, or just to be aware of. I don't know. Life is too short. If you're not married to the person, if you don't really have any ties to them, I feel like you should be really picky about who you're with, and just know that their record of how they treat people most likely is how they're going to treat you as well at some point, when they're to the point that they don't value you as much. And I definitely got no good came of knowing them. It was a real darkness around this person. It was not pleasant, and I don't know. It's like I said, if you're sorry, if you do something like that, and anything can be forgiven, but in this case, I don't think there was a lot of, there might have been sorrow for it, but I don't think there was enough to change. And that's I couldn't do that. I just couldn't. Anyway, there's my story. And I don't know, important thing, just always listen to your gut. When your gut is, when your intuition is screaming out no, 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 and you keep going. I was like self-destructive too at this point, and just stupid, and you might think you have control of things and things will be fine, and I'll just leave when I want to. But if you get with the wrong person, you might not be able to leave when you want to. So, just value yourself more than if you have a feeling that somebody's not gonna be beneficial to you. Keep moving, Life is way too short to spend time with people that don't have the same interest as you as far as being a good person. So that's my little story, that's my lesson, and it's really important to do that. It really is. You just can, it can be so bad. It can really be so bad, and you can be losing out on something really great, another person who's wonderful. So anyway, I hope that was somewhat helpful to someone. And don't drink and drive. That's one thing I got out of it big time is, people never get into a car thinking that they're gonna, hurt somebody when they've had, something to drink. But it's so easy. It's so easy. And then you're at a point where you can't go back and something terrible has happened, and it's really hard to live with. I've seen, so that's super important. Um, but anyway, you guys have a good night and take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.